Hello and welcome to the first edition of #AskGreens. Well, did anyone see that England team coming from Stuart Lancaster? That has really got the taste buds going in advance of this year's Six Nations. And as I asked earlier in the week for some questions, let's fire through some questions and see if I can get through as many as possible. At Chris Allblack, that's you, Chris James, who's going to win this year's Six Nations, mate, and who might get player of the tournament? Wow, great question. England have got some great home games, Wales and Ireland. Tough away trip to France opening up. I've actually gone slightly wildcard this year. I've gone Joe Smith's Ireland. Why? A brilliant performance against the All Blacks in November, and I'm a huge fan of Joe Smith. What he's done with Leinster, how he's turned them into a brilliantly all-court football team, all-court rugby team, but not lost the dog up front. They will miss Sean O'Brien, so that's my one dubious one, but I'm going to go slightly left field and go for Joe Smith's Ireland. Player of the tournament, I never go too far away from my old mate Wes Fofana. At Edward O. White, that's Ed White. Is squad and style of play development for the World Cup more important than Six Nations success? Dead easy one, Ed, 100%. At Gordy WW, why do us Scots... I shouldn't laugh. Why do Scots get too hopeful every year? Because you're passionate, you're proud, you've got Murrayfield, it's a great stadium, you've got history. You think of David Soul, the Hastings brothers, Finlay Calder, John Jeffrey, because you've got a history of performing well in this tournament. The problem is you've got two professional teams and a small player base. So I think to my Scottish friends, there's always a view now that you've got to enjoy the big wins when they come, and perhaps, I hate to say it, perhaps lower your expectations of Grand Slams. At Amy_Lynch12, that's Amy Lynch, which uncapped player are you most excited about watching? #any nation. Well, England, they've got a couple, haven't they? I think Luther Burrell's one I'm quite interested to see being played out of position in the first game, going at outside centre. And as an ex-centre, I do fight strongly that there is a difference between inside and outside. It's not one cap fits all. So how he copes out in France will be very interesting. But he had to play. For England, I think this selection that Lancaster's made is actually all about 2015. There's an understanding that, yes, we like to win every single game, but we have to find out about young players. He's happy to try Marlon Yard, who's been injured this Six Nations. Christian Wade will get a go when he gets fit, but now you're seeing the likes of Jack Nowell and Johnny May getting a crack. And yes, there's a gamble, but you're better off gambling in February 2014, not February 2015. At Prism_Fitness, that's Sam Rosser, with next year's World Cup fixture at Twickenham, how vital mentally is England v Wales this year? Oof, great question. Monster game for England. Monster game. We beat Australia in the autumn. Box ticked. Next time, again, we're playing them next November in 14. Huge game. When you see a shirt and you see a stadium and you recognise the stadium and you recognise the shirt as someone you have beaten in that stadium, 2 or 3% difference. And in the big World Cup games, that is crucial. At Anthony Greaves, should salary caps be lifted and there be a limit on overseas players in each squad? Wow, big question. I think we're seeing the sort of money now that's being thrown into television contracts, and I sit here now without a bias to television in any way, shape or form, and understand there's a huge amount of money flowing into the game, and to be able to compete with some of the French teams who have extraordinary budgets, that question will be addressed. That just about brings us to a conclusion. I answered, I think, as many of them as I could. I will see you next week with #AskGreens. I'm looking forward to delivering my team of the weekend. I hope there's plenty of Englishmen. It's a tough trip in Paris, and just to put that into context, it is one of the great things missing from my locker. I played in France 4 times. The total losing margin of all those 4 games added up, I think, is about 8 points. I never won in Paris. Good luck to the lads.